Yo, what's up guys, StarCGO here, bringing you a new deck, this time around Traptrix Red Dragon Archfiend. So I'm going back to the traditional deck profile style. I think it fits me more as a deck builder than replays. Since honestly, replays don't really matter for me, I don't really like doing them. Does add that much value, I'd rather just show you the deck and actually talk about it. I think that's more value in general. So I went with Traptrix Red Dragon Archfiend. Now this deck goes against a lot of decisions I usually make when I build Red Dragon Archfiends, including running cards like Red Rain and Skullmeister, which I normally don't run in my builds. And I'll go into in-depth explanation later, but realize that this is a control build that only runs one Willed Wind as an extender, meaning you can't as easily go into Abyss plus Bane, since you need 2 Red Risings to do it, or an additional extender. In this build you barely can do that, so since we can end in just Abyss, we are running triple Red Rain. Also because it's just good to mill off Chaos Ruler. Because the basic idea of this build is to turbo out Chaos Ruler. Mill something like a Red Rain, a Lost Wind, or the Titanocider, which are traps that can basically set themselves back to the field. Or getting the new Traptrix Gina Loa into the graveyard, which, if you control no cards you spell in Trap Zone, can banish itself to target normal hold trap in your grave and set it to your field. So let's say you activate 5 and you get the Gina Loa and the Gravedigger's Trap Hole, you can just banish it to set it to your field. You get a trap for free, basically just off Chaos Ruler, which I think is really good. Now we can also just summon this and then down the line banish it. So it's not like it's a brick if you draw it. It's really nice. But yeah, let's start with the easy thing, the Resonator ratios. Now usually in Resonators you always run 3 Crimson, 3 Synchron Resonator and 1 Creation. Those are the basic standards. On top of that, although this is player preference, I like running 2 additional Resonators normally. Now, since it's less of a combo build, I decided to cut 1 Resonator, only run 1 Chain Resonator. Now, usually you run 2 Dark Resonators because of Allure of Darkness. It's something a lot of people don't get, but out these, like Creation, which only needs 1 of, 3 Crimson and 3 Synchro Resonator are literally only Resonators that really do anything for your deck. Red Resonator isn't good anymore. So on top of that, I usually run Dark Resonators because they are targets for Allure of Darkness, and they are Resonators which you sometimes need for Resonator Command. Because to make a combo work in this deck, you need Crimson Resonator level 4. That's how Red Dragon Archfiend works nowadays. If you don't open Crimson Resonator, you basically lose the duel. And you can, Red Resonator and Crimson Resonator don't combine well either, so yeah. Anyways, those are the Resonators. Then we have the level 4 Fiends. We run 3 Skullmeister, 1 Willed Wind. 2 Elegant Searches. I mostly just wanted a level 4 Fiend that you actually want to summon as an additional target for Resonator command, which is nice in certain hands. Skullmeister definitely has a place in this specific build. In general, I'm not a huge fan, but in this specific build it makes sense. But yeah, there's a situation where I just want to actually summon what you search, and then Willed Wind's perfect. Now, I mentioned Skullmeister already. It's basically a really situational hand trap, but it's a hand trap still. So when a card effect is activated in your opponent's graveyard, you can send it from your hand to the grave to negate that effect. Yeah, we can just search this. We can get this off Chaos Ruler. Now, normally Red Dragon Archfiend just wants to establish a big board, and I don't think it's worth it in such builds. But in this build specifically, we want to go for interruptions on top of our Abyss. Basically just to play Abyss control, maybe go into Calamity the next turn. So running Skullmeisters is optimal since they are summonable. You know, if you just open this and Crimson Resonator, you can still go off. But there are also interruptions that you can basically get for free, so yeah. We run 3 Murmelo, 3 Gina Loa as the Traptrix engine. Now Murmelo, when it's normal summoned, just search any of the normal trap cards, the trap holes. Which by the way also gives you room to side deck some of them in if you aren't already main decking them. Now I went for Time Space, 1 Bottomless, 2 Trapple Nightmares and 1 Gravediggers. Because I felt like those were the most reliable ones, especially Whole Nightmare and Time Space are the ones that usually, if you draw them, they aren't bad, you know. Usually you'll find a use for them. Bottomless is a bit more specific, but it can be really great as well, especially since nobody really knows this card anymore. A lot of people have forgot about it. Banishing can be relevant. And Gravediggers, it can be good in certain matchups. Other matchups it just doesn't even do anything. So yeah, and you of course want to run a certain amount of trap holes. Otherwise, Kina Loa isn't consistent. So that's why you run those trap holes. I think 6 is a nice amount. On average, you're probably gonna see a trap hole of a Gale's Ruler effect. On average, pretty much. Not really, but yeah. RNG is always good. But yeah, Murbelow, just a normal summon gets you a trap hole. So if you go open Crimson Resonator and Murbelow, you search a trap hole and you can go into Gale's Ruler, possibly get something additionally. Or worst case now, just pass an Abyss and one of the trap holes, which, especially at like a fun, casual level, can be enough to win the duel. Now I already mentioned this one, you can theoretically send a trap that you control face down to the grave to special summon this from your hand. But you can only use one of the effects per turn, and you want to use the second effect. You can banish it from the grave to target the normal trap hole in your grave and set it. Once again, time, space, bottomless, trap hole, nightmare, or grave diggers. Now, of course, we still have Witch of the Black Forest. If you open it and will to win, we can theoretically just, quote unquote, pop off, go in double Red Rising. The play is still there, it's possible. Yeah. I mean, the play is there, it's a possibility. It can also just search Skullmeister, you know. Very versatile card. As you cannot use the card to search in the same turn, but then next turn Skullmeister is of course active. Already talked about resonators, let's just search any of the resonators, that's instantly good, right? Bit of a less good card, since you need this card, stereotypical Synchro Archetype overbalancing, meanwhile Lyrilusk gets to either Foolish or add one to hand, and then even gets a special summon, meanwhile we have to discard to search. But I mean, it's an additional consistency boost, it basically ensures we're in 9 copies of Crimson Resonator, which is supposedly consistent. I think I already mentioned this, but yeah, basically, you go Gale's Ruler, go into Abyss, and then this can set itself back to the field. Now normally, once again, I'm not a huge fan of it, because it means you just have to end on Abyss and Red Rain, which I think is an underwhelming board for sure. But within context of this build, it's very good. Finally, we have 2 Titanicider, 2 Lost Winds. They basically do the same thing. So if a monster special from your opponent's extra deck, one of them is in the grave, you can set them. Except Titanicider does banish itself, Lost Wind does banish itself. There kind of some small difference between them. Titanicider only targets extra deck monsters. That makes their attack 0. Lost Wind halves it, but it works on any special summon monster. And yeah, you can just get them off the mill. Now, they are delayed, because you cannot use them until they are set. That is definitely true, but it just ensures you get a really good client game. Now, the extra deck for Red Dragon and Archfiend, it's often the same. Teal Calamity does come up sometimes, so I do run a Teal copy, advise running 2. Nether Soul, it's nice, it's better than just making a second Archfiend Bane, especially situations where you're still Dark Dragon Synchro locked. Yeah, that's why I run it. It just enables you to go for OTKs in certain situations. 2 Bane, 2 Abyss, just to ensure you always have a big synchro to go into your extra deck, especially with Gale's Ruler being a thing. I think both of these are needed too. Some people don't agree with that. Keep in mind you can always just customize your own build, you don't have to follow my build, these are my ratios. 1 Nirvana High Paladin, this is always my tech card of choice in Red Dragon Archfiend. Some materials are a tuner and a non-tuner synchro monster. Keep in mind that this is not a Dark Dragon, of course, so you cannot make a turn 1, but usually in next turn you aren't locked at all. And then basically a relevant card is when this card destroys the opponent's monster battle, you can halve your opponent's life points. So what this means, if they have like a face down monster, or just a face up attack position monster and a face down, the Nirvana High Paladin will attack the face down, their life points will be halved, meaning it will be 4k. King Calamity can slam into the other monster. Boom. Game. Because King Calamity will basically always guarantee you deal 4k damage. As long as the monster is either in attack position or if they don't control another monster. And there's these two combine really well to push for game. It's kind of my favorite duo, but once again, the non-Red Dragon Archfiend you can basically customize yourself. I do like 2 Gale's Ruler in here. I think it's one of the only 2 Dark Dragon Synchros you really should be running. There are arguments to be made for Void Ogre in theory, but practice, there are just so few opportunities where a Void Ogre really can be made in this deck. I don't really like it. You can run it, I just prefer the 2 Gale's Rulers, it's just the best option. 1 is needed in this variant, without Gale's Ruler don't play this build. It's a shame, really, but it is what it is. The second one is really nice. If you can get a hand on it, you know, do it. I definitely think it's worthwhile. It just gives you a better grind game, because once again, it's not a once per duel or anything, you know, it just gives you more traps in the grind game. It's more chance to get Titanic Cider, Lost Wind, or Red Rain into the grave. And a Dark and Dragon. Non-tuner Dark isn't hard for us, that's all non-tuners, right? At our level 6, I mean, hello, you're always using Red Rising Dragon. Just ability to target the monster opponent controls to send it to the grave, not even destroy, which plays theoretically around some things. I think it's nice because it doesn't care about attack. Scarlet can only pop 3000 or lower, plus Scarlet also pops your own monsters. That's something people sometimes forget. It's why I don't run Scarlet anymore. I run Dark and Dragon. I think it's a better card. Once again, it's just my preference. If you want Scarlet, I'm not gonna stop you. In fact, I actually respect it. But I think it's better. Now, one thing some people don't understand is Ancient Pixie Dragon, but there's just certain situations where you have like level 4 and a Creation Resonator, where going into this is needed. There's also situational target effect where once per turn you can target or face-up attacking position monster on the field, destroy the target if there is a face-up field spell. Theoretically that can work against some matchups. But it's basically only level 7 Dark Dragon Synchro that realistically does anything. Or well, that you can generically summon. The other option is Exploded Dragon Wing, and that one has very specific materials. It's really the most generic option, and it comes up. Trust me, from experience, it comes up. One thing I didn't have the space for, that I would have liked to include in the extra deck, is the Chambara. Once again, not a Dark Dragon Synchro, but turn 2, this Red Rising can give you 2 level 1s. Any level 4 plus level 1 could go into Chambara. She can attack twice. First attack 2200, second attack 2400. It really pushes hard for OTKs. Now, I don't have the space. Arguments could be made to cut this out. I think it's the one I summon the least, but even then it sometimes comes up, so it's kind of tricky. Yeah, if you can find space, Chambara is another card to look at. It's a card people have forgotten about. And of course, 3 Red Rising. There are arguments to be made to cut down to 2 copies of Red Rising, but if you open Whirlwind and another level 4 and you actually summon both of them, you're out of Red Risings. And next turn, if you have Crimson Resonator, which you usually have, do the Synchron Resonator, and level 4 you can't go into another copy of Red Rising. It's why I run 3, the 3 comes up, but yeah, if you don't want to run that, that's also fine. So this is my Traptrix Red Dragon Archfiend build. I hope you guys enjoyed it. As long as you keep it civilized, you're always, of course, allowed to leave feedback and stuff in the comments. I read all comments. I don't comment on them, although if I heart your comment, I basically say like, hey, nice, thanks, something like that, you know. Just don't type it out, but yeah. Feedback is welcome. If you have questions about certain ratios or suggestions, they're always welcome. I might update the future build. But yeah, I just thought this was a cool variant to try out. It's an idea for a long while, and now that we actually got the new Traptrix, the Gina Loa from Lightning Overdrive, I think this is an interesting alternative build that is actually worth playing. Because one of the biggest issues with Red Dragon Archfiend is if you get trapped, you get basically nothing. This at least runs a decent amount of traps. Yes, theoretically you could run more, but then you're throwing away too much consistency, I think. But yeah, that's in the end player preference, right? If you can find a way to cut cards to boost consistency, or at least to make it easier to sit on traps, go ahead. The negative side of Traptrix is that you run trap holes to facilitate them. Theoretically, if you could find better level 4 normal summons, yeah, sure, you can run better traps like Shown Judgments, for example, or Impermanences, you know. But this build has worked quite well for me and I really like it, so if you want another aspect of Red Dragon Archfiend, or play it in another way, I guess, definitely give this deck a shot. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. This is my first deck profile of many. Sea Shanty 2 starts playing and now I have to end the video. Damn it. I just want to hyperextend the video for 2 minutes so we can all enjoy Sea Shanty 2 together. Can't believe I have to end the video on this banger, damn. Alexa, this is so sad, but yeah. As always, feel free to ask for other decks to be covered in the comments. I hope you enjoyed the deck profile. Start is signing out. Peace.